Chris Clarkson died on the 30th of March of this year, just as we were finishing this video. He was the preeminent conservator of medieval manuscripts, with an abiding interest in their bindings and in the materials from which they were made.
He is the man who coined the phrase book conservation as opposed to the restoration of books. This idea that the book is a historic artifact that needs to be preserved with all its archaeological evidence. That's very much part of what he was about, and the conservation world owes him a huge debt for that reason alone.
In the course of some 50 years, he accumulated a collection of about 30,000 slides, covering all aspects of his work and interests from 1967 onwards. These slides are a record of his life's work.
These are the slides that he used for teaching, and it was always his ambition to index the slides and make them accessible to other people, but he was never able to do that. He never had the time to do that, which is why we're putting together this project to try and get everything together, digitized, with the necessary information to make them searchable and online so that everybody can see them.
I met Chris around the early 80s as part of the work I was doing in developing products for conservation. And I remember him being very, very unselfish. Before he moved to West Dean to take up the course there, he was discussing that with me in Oxford. And that he was going to take a cut in money, not for any other reason that he felt that there needed to be training of a sufficient standard to pass things on. So he's always worried about passing on knowledge to people, and to see him passing on knowledge was a real pleasure.
I remember that he told me that to achieve something good, you first have to see it in your head. So when you start a work, you have to have really clearly what you want to achieve, because if not, you will not get the good ends you want to obtain. The project we are raising money for is extremely important because everything that we learned from him was based on the material and the archive that he acquired during the numerous years of his work. So I really strongly believe that as soon as possible to be able to add to these slides and notes and everything that he has, it will be absolutely fundamental for getting the best we can out of his work and his legacy.
After he was diagnosed with dementia, he made it clear that he wanted us to continue with this work. Now that he has died, this project will ensure that a valuable part of his legacy can be preserved and made available to all. We have already started and have raised just over £47,000 with generous donations from both sides of the Atlantic.
This is a manuscript which used to belong to Zion College Library in London, and when the library was closed, the old collection was brought here to Lambeth. And this 11th century Greek manuscript, it's a copy of the Homilies of St. Chrysostom, was in serious need of repair. It was in an 18th century binding which was collapsing, and Chris Clarkson was asked to repair it. This is a very, very careful reconstruction, not so much of the appearance of these books in terms of historical facsimile work, because he wasn't necessarily interested in that. What he wanted to reproduce was the way that the book handled, how the actual binding structure turns it into something which is specifically suitable to a book of this sort. He understood the mechanics of books, he understood the history of books, and he understood the history of the books within the context of the times.
I just found recently, when I was in Italy a few months ago, what he brought. There was an email that was sent to the school after my 6 months with him as the report of my internship. And I kept it in my pocket for I don't know how many years, printed out, and I just recently in January found it in a drawer. And all this, not easy to take on, because it was critique about my work and the way I was doing things, but to me that was the point. It's always been extremely honest and very direct, because work for him is his life, honestly.
The project we're now involved in, to digitize his slides and make them available online, will be a memorial to his life and work, and a testament to his extraordinary ability and dedication to his work. It will also be of enormous value to all who follow in his footsteps.